All right. Good morning, everybody. Chelsea Rosti here from the city of Montrose. We're going to just let the webinar fill here for a moment. It usually takes just a little bit to get everybody joined. If you want to say hello in the chat function, it's at the very bottom. You just click on chat and you can say hello, who you are, what organization you're with. And then if you have a question throughout the presentation for any of our panelists, feel free to just put it in the Q&A portion of the chat section down there at the bottom, and that way we can track them and make sure we're getting everything answered. So again, I'm just going to give it a few moments for everyone to get on. All right. Good morning, Celia from Canyon Creek Electric, Councilmember Dave Frank, Daniel Carnes. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. All right. Cool. Well, I'm not seeing the numbers go up anymore, so we will go ahead and get started. Joheen, thank you for being here from Mingle. All right. So this morning we're going to be talking about tourism and what that looks like within our community. We know that tourism was one of the first things to go on pause when the pandemic began. And so now we're talking about how we're going to come out of that. We know it's a really important piece of our economy, though fortunately for Montrose, it's just a portion of what we do here. We're really well diversified and we're seeing the fruits of the efforts that we've made there right now during the pandemic. So that's really exciting. We have some great panelists this morning. We've got Mary Steinbach, who is the Executive Director of the Montrose Recreation District. She's going to give us an update on the opening plans, what things are looking like there, and how things will roll out, even with the sports and that type of thing. And so we know that the rec center particularly, but the district in its entirety is really important to economic development here in Montrose as well as tourism, and it's a very big draw. Next, we'll hear from Jim Austin, who is the Montrose County Public Health Director, and he's going to give us information on tourism-based businesses, how they should be operating, also talk about maybe some frequently asked questions that he's receiving right now, because if there's anyone who knows the governor's orders and public health orders inside and out, it's Mr. Jim Austin. We've got Sue Hansen here, County Commissioner Sue Hansen, who will also talk a little bit about the most recent variance request and any other loose ends there with the county. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with Caitlin Love, who is our community marketing specialist.
Even you don't remember all the titles.
Amazingness. I'm just flying off the cuff here. So she'll talk to us about what the actual efforts are going to be from the city of Montrose on tourism promotion and what the state is doing as well to promote Colorado as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you, Mary, to talk about the rec district.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thanks everyone for being here and joining us on today's webinar. We are so excited at the Montrose Recreation District to be back up and operating in some semblance. It is our new normal. It is not anything like we ever anticipated or like what we want it to be wholly, but we're just happy to be there for our people and greeting them at the door. And they're excited and they're happy and they're willing to conform to the new policies and protocols that we have in place. And if they're not, they're just simply not coming quite yet. But I want to give an overview of kind of where we are and how challenging that has been to ramp up. As we were all kind of talking a little bit earlier, it has been so critically important for all of us, and particularly at the rec district, to be absolutely adaptable, adapting, and nimble. Things change very, very quickly. We operated for quite a while where we felt like there was nothing for us to do other than to attend professional webinars and to rally and talk and support our other parks and recreation agencies all across the country and across the state and regionally. And we were all able to kind of, when we say we're all in this together, we as parks and recreation professionals, we're absolutely all in this together. And so we were constantly talking about what are the methods that you're seeing and what do you see working in your community and where are you at? And it was really helpful for us all to be there as a part of that big group. So I feel like that really set us up so well to really help provide a lot of great leadership, lead the way, pave the way for Montrose, for certainly all of the Western Slope, in terms of what our reopening looks like for parks and recreation. So we're very happy that we were able to open the recreation center as of June 2nd. Doesn't look anything like what you would typically expect. But we're open. We have registration slots. We could, when we open, only accommodate 50 people entirely in the entire building, and that included our staff as well. So, far, far from our typical 2,000 some capacity that we have for that facility. But, that's the mandate. And so 50 people at a time, they register for a slot. We've got the fitness floor set up. We've got fitness equipment down on the gym floor. And that's what we opened first. The cleanest facility around, I guarantee. Our staff loves our participants so much and they care so deeply. We kind of feel bad for these 70 some people per day that we've had in the rec center fulfilling those slots, because our staff just lurks behind them and waits for them to clear off a machine so that they can clean that machine, disinfect it, and have it ready for the next person. So it's actually been kind of funny, and it's been a great interaction that we've been able to have with the participants who do come into the center. So it's been sort of, while it's so very different, it also is really grounding. And we love the personal contact. Nice, Jim, I did not say that, Jim. I did not say we're having personal contact. But it's the one-on-one relationship building that we're able to have right now. So that's good. But this past week, we were able to clear to go to 50 people per room in the facility. So we're treating aquatics now and the fitness floor as two entirely different areas and rooms. So that'll help. And then this past Monday, we were really excited to be able to open the aquatics section of the CRC just for fitness. So that means coming in and one person per lap lane. We did registration and all slots really were full almost immediately. And shout out to the Montrose Press for doing a good cover story for us that ran in this morning's paper. So they were out on site helping us push that. We've got the lazy river going. We've got the warm water therapy pool. So folks can get in and move their bodies and get that stretching, that flexibility back that they so badly needed. Next Monday, we will be opening the outdoor pool, and we have a limit of 25 people per time slot there. So we'll be handling registration slots a little bit differently. People can call over to the field house, or they can actually just show up, and we'll be able to take 25 people at a time. We've got picnic tables spaced really appropriately for family units and all of that. Hopefully next week, we'll be able to raise that capacity just a little bit. And next week, the following week, the 22nd, we intend to open the slide and splash pad too. So that'll give people a little bit more things to do. Then we have sports coming up and summer enrichment. Summer enrichment camp is starting as of the 15th. And at that same time, as I said, we're opening the outdoor pool. Weehawken and Arts is already back and operating out of the field house too. So that starts to feel like there's a whole lot going on at the field house now. We have adult softball that's starting back up on the 15th. So if you haven't gotten your team in, or you want to play, get that all squared away. We've got youth sports beginning on June 22nd, and that includes t-ball and youth baseball and softball. So very, very slowly we're opening up, and we'll be very eager to hear the status from Sue of our variants, because we've been working diligently throughout this entire closure on our capital improvement project at Holly Park. And we've been sitting back and struggling with the idea of holding a community celebration and a park dedication that we so want to do, and that the community so deserves, and then wondering, what's that going to look like if we have a park dedication on Zoom? Doesn't quite have the same flair, right? So we're hoping that we can get some latitude to hold, very cautiously, to hold some sort of celebration at Holly Park. So that's kind of everything that I can think of right now that we have going on. If there are any questions about how we're doing registration, all you have to do is go on the montroserec.com website, and it'll basically walk you through. I will say that our registration system for signing up for time slots is pretty cumbersome. But it was actually talking about being a leader. We were one of the first agencies in the country to use our software registration and facility management to set up these time slots. So we feel really good about that, but we recognize that it is cumbersome. But if you have any questions, just call us. Our customer service reps are wanting to help people and get them in the doors. When people show up to the center, they do have to go through full screening, which does include temperature checks. They must wear a mask upon entry and exiting the building, and anytime that they're moving through the building, we require them to wear a mask. So far, it's been great. We've had masks on hand to give to people just in case they don't bring their own. We've given away maybe 3 or 4. That's it. Everybody brings their mask, and everybody knows the rules before they come. So it's the best that we can hope for. And yeah, so were there any questions that came in along the way, or anything that you felt like I didn't cover very well?
Looks like there was one question about what are the time slots, like how frequent are they throughout the day?
Yeah, they're about an hour, and they're an hour and 15 minutes for working out. They'll be an hour and I think it's an hour and 45 for the aquatics. But all of that information, I'm sorry, it's just, there's so many. As cumbersome it is for you all to register, it's also really cumbersome for this old brain to try to remember all those specific time slots. But they're approximately somewhere between an hour to 2 hours. You can use, at the CRC, you can use various pieces of equipment. So you don't have to stay on the one piece of equipment. You can move around a little bit. And then the aquatics, we're trying to, it'll get easier as more people come in, because we do see some opportunity for potentially relaxing some of the registration that we take.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. And I
All
just
right.
sort of say awesome job, because I know that you, and now we've got Carrie coming in at the school district soon, these new leaders in the midst of this craziness. So welcome to Montrose.
Great, thanks.
In the middle of a pandemic, but
it was really funny, and I don't want to take anybody else's time, but Jason Ullman was our board president, up until just a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Mary, I'm so sorry. You started here, and this is what your first year looks like." And I said, I have to be somewhere, so why not Montrose? I love it here, and this is such a supportive community, and it's been fantastic. It doesn't matter.
awesome. Well, we're happy to have you and really grateful that you've been adapting and getting people back to the rec. So that's great. Next, I am going to toss it over to Jim Austin. So Jim, if you'd love to, I don't know if you'd love to, but if you wouldn't mind giving us the county side of things.
No. Hi, Chelsea. I'm glad to do it. And just so everyone knows, Montrose County does not have our own local public health order. Rather, we follow the state public health order. Since this was first issued, it's been amended 6 times. And so it can be challenging just to keep up with the changes, not only in the order itself, but the state often writes guidance documents to flesh out the details a little bit. And so just trying to stay on top of these is challenging for me, as well as just taking all sorts of business inquiries. But I wanted to talk for just a minute about the current variants that we have from the state public health order, as well as the new variants request that we just put in several days ago. Back in May, we applied for a variance from the order for 3 types of businesses: gyms, churches, and restaurants. And we received a variance from the state health department. They have to approve it. And that was, our variance was effective May 24th. And it relaxed some of the requirements. Well, in the meantime, now the order's been changed an additional 2 times. And so you may think, well, wait a minute, we have 2 documents then, and I want you to know the way we're treating this. For example, and I'll use gyms as an example, and Mary and I have talked about this. The newest order, which was amended just this last Friday, the 5th, actually gives some additional latitude to gyms, which include recreation centers. And so looking at our Montrose County variants for gyms and the state order, whichever is more relaxed or provides the least restrictions, that is the standard we're using. And that's true for gyms, for restaurants, and for churches. For gyms, some things are really opened up as far as personal recreation activities, and also there's a whole section on allowable outdoor recreation activities, and that includes like hot springs and outfitters and guide services and so forth. And Chelsea, I assume that you can, do you have any email distribution list where you can send this latest order out to anybody who wants it? I would encourage you. It's called the 6th Amended Public Health Order, and that is the one that's in effect now. I'm getting lots of calls on every type of business inquiry you can imagine. And some inquiries are fairly straightforward. If you're a restaurant, then that's easy. That's well defined. But some activities aren't explicitly addressed in the order, so we have to take a close look at those. And I'm glad to talk to people. I always want to follow up in email form with them so you have it in writing. And I'm spending most of my days, besides public health department things, helping businesses deal with the public health order. So if you have things on your mind right now, I would be glad to take any questions right now.
Thank you, Jim. And as we wait for those to come in, one question I think that I've seen a little bit confusion on is when the order first came out for restaurants to be open, it was required for customers to wear masks to and from tables and to things like the restroom and things like that. Where are we now with the current public health order when it comes to customers wearing masks in restaurants?
Oh, that's really a good question, and I've talked with several restaurants about this. Our variance or request of May required customers to wear face coverings until they're seated. Well, in the meantime, the state public health order has been amended, and they actually relaxed that requirement. And so customers are encouraged to wear face coverings, but it's not required. And so since the encouraged is the least restrictive, then that's what applies in Montrose.
Awesome, thank you. And I also just want to say thank you to our commissioners and you and your office for taking the more relaxed approach. I think that's really helpful for our businesses to try to operate as close to normal, if that's a thing, as possible. When do you foresee, or what are your thoughts on more people being allowed or expanding the capacity? Does the most recent variance address that, or what are you thinking will be the next step for allowing more people inside the restaurants?
Yeah, we addressed that across the board in our latest variance request, Chelsea, and we are waiting right now just to hear back from the state. So my understanding is they have a number of variances to work through, but counties, the way the variance works is if you seek a variance from the order, that has to be submitted by the county government to the state, which we've done twice now. The state reviews those, and they can either approve them as written. They could actually reject an application, or they could approve it, making some changes to the conditions. So right now we're just waiting to hear.
Okay, awesome. And would that be up to 75% then?
Yes.
Okay. And then the second question I have pertaining to that is, can you clarify the difference between outdoor seating and indoor seating and how capacity works on that?
Are you talking about restaurants?
Yes.
Yeah, and in fact, the governor, I believe, addressed this in one of his press conferences, and I was glad he did, because this had come up locally. And so there's the limitation on seating or the percent capacity in the public health order, but that talks about the capacity of the building, and that's a building or fire code a number. And the question came up, and they said, well, what about outside seating and patios? And he made a clear distinction that restriction does not apply to outside patios and seating areas. So keep people separated, but the 50% or 50 does not apply to patios or outdoor areas.
Thank you very much, Jim. And we're going to move on to our third panelist, Caitlin Love, now. But just so everybody knows, Jim is really responsive. He is a great asset to our community, and happy to, I know, answer any of your questions. So if you need more information, just feel free to reach out to him directly. Kate will be sending out all of that information after the call. And then we do have a question here, which I can answer quickly from Paul. about summertime events like music festivals and that type of thing. I did recently see that the Montrose Summer Music Series unfortunately was canceled for 2020. So that will not be happening. We're still working through Funk Fest here in Montrose. I know a lot of surrounding communities are canceling events. I saw one in Grand Junction that was recently canceled, I believe, yesterday. And then the Ouray half marathon was canceled just recently. So a lot of those things are starting to get canceled now into August. And so that sort of gives me pause to think that we may not have any, larger type events in the area until next year or late fall, early winter. So that being said, Caitlin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining the call. I was really excited to hop on as a panelist here today. We're talking about tourism. Can everybody hear me? All right, okay, perfect, thanks. So let me just share my screen. I'm gonna share because I have a few fun graphics that I wanna show you that we've been working on at Visit Montrose, and also a fun quick video from CTO. So let me get this. Thanks everyone for hanging with me here. All right, so like I said, we're giving an update on Montrose Tourism and then also the statewide promotions and what they are doing. So first off, again, just an overview. I pulled these really pretty pictures that people have been snapping, and we get them from CrowdRiff, which is a really cool site. Next up, we have the Montrose Tourism, what we are doing locally. Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong on this figure, but 12 to 20% of Montrose sales tax comes from tourism. And so that's not as high as some other communities in the state, but it's still a really good portion of sales tax funds. And, we just want to be on this call to recognize how vital and important tourism is to business in our community. And it really does play a role in our community's mid to long range recovery during COVID. And it's important all the time. So we want to talk about it and just to reassure our community that we are doing everything we can to help on tourism front. So Montrose really took this inward outward approach during COVID. So inwards, when COVID hit, as you can all maybe recall, we released the business recovery plan. We had 3 efforts within that plan. So we had the tax deferral program, we had the marketing co-op, and the emergency loan fund. And that was really spending dollars locally, trying to help businesses. So when we normally would have been promoting, to different states, different regions, even, neighboring communities, we really kept that money inward so that businesses could benefit and take advantage of those programs that the city offered. And now we're kind of moving into this, we're still inward, we're still being safe, but a little more outward. We're talking about some collaborations with neighboring communities, a welcome back campaign to really get people thinking about travel. And, Chelsea brought up a great point yesterday is, someone may have already put in a week vacation. Maybe they're not going to Hawaii or Peru or something, but they want to travel within the state. We want to be at the forefront of people's minds when they think of a place to go to. So this collaboration that we're doing, the final details have not been fleshed out just yet, but we are looking at a marketing collaboration between us, Ridgeway, and Ouray. And it would likely promote, each destination to local and regional residents. And we're talking a quick day or weekend road trip. So, how can we get the residents of Montrose to move about this region? How can we get them to go to Ridgeway or Ouray? And then same for Ouray residents and Ridgeway residents. How can we get them to come to Montrose and spend dollars? So we're really excited to flesh out these details, and more will be coming your way soon. And the itineraries are going to focus on destinations. So maybe it's featuring the Black Canyon along with a local restaurant, and then maybe something like the water sports park or something like that. And like I said, just more details coming soon, so stick with us on that. So the next thing that I want to talk about is our newest campaign that we're getting ready to launch, and it's called You'll See Why. We were working on a few ads previously, and we kind of realized that we want to empathize with the visitors and the travelers who maybe had those plans canceled. And we know how that feels because, we too had vacations lined up But we really want to make it seem that, you know, we're empathizing with the visitor, that you'll see why the wait was worth it. You'll see why when you come to Montrose that we'll take care of you. Our restaurants will take care of you. Our attractions will take care of you. So, you know, we want to be at the forefront again of their minds. And so I have a few, these are very sneak peek, but I pulled 2 of the ads that, you know, we plan to run, but the wording might change just a little. This will actually be the main, can you guys see all of that? I think my panelist things might be in the way. It says, "You'll see why a clear view of the night sky was worth the wait." Very simple, but we have maybe 5 or 6 images lined up of assets in our community that we are looking to promote for visitors. A second one here is at the bottom of the Black Canyon, and it says, "You'll see why pausing your adventures with friends made room for double the memories." So we're really, you know, we use this word normal a lot, but we're really normalizing that, you know, we're right there with you. We had plans canceled, but you know what, when you come travel to Montrose, your memories are going to be double, you know, it's going to be worth it when you do get to travel. So that's just a little sneak peek. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now we're going to move on to Colorado tourism and as a statewide approach, what they are doing. So, you know, they've released a lot of information that we're super grateful for. But the 2 things to take away from this call is they are really also working in a phased approach, much like that inward outward that Montrose is doing. We kind of laughed. We feel like Montrose has been ahead of the game. So kudos to everybody at the city. And then the Care for Colorado program that they're doing. So to the right, you can see this small line that really talks about their phased approach. So if you look at where we're at now in June, it says recovery increases. So for months now, they've been really phasing in how to be sensitive with tourism, but still encourage people to travel now that we can. So the next thing is Care for Colorado. This is a program that CTO launched just very recently, and it's to keep people safe during travel and to educate them and inform them on how to treat communities, how to be safe with one another, how you should act in these communities, and then obviously safety precautions. So here's a few of their materials. To the left, you can see a poster they released, 5 steps for responsible travel. I'm going to show you a video too that talks about those 5 things. And then, are you Colo ready? So they have kind of a winter edition on the left, more of a summer, spring, fall edition on the right. And again, it's just talking about, you know, how do you prepare for a trip during this time? Obviously, bring your mask, but then it goes into also like taking care of the trails, picking up dog waste, you know, keeping wildlife wild. Don't touch the wild animals. I know we have to say that a lot. And so now I'm going to hop on over to this quick video that they did. It's 40 seconds. I think you'll like it.
When visiting us in Colorado, here's a few things you should know. 5 steps will help protect us all, no matter where you go. Space! How about a ski between you and me? Mask! Keep one in your pocket in case you need to rock it. Clean! Wash your hands, be careful what you touch. Stay! Feeling sick, stay home, protect others, thanks a bunch. Go! Follow the guidelines wherever you go. Stay up to date and in the know. These 5 steps are just a start to help us all do our part. Thanks for listening to our tips. We hope you all enjoy your trips.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. I saw some smiles, so that was good. Yeah, that's really all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. And colorado.com, you can go under the Work With Us tab under the industry toolkits. And any business can print out these posters. You know, us at the Visitor Center will likely be using these materials as well. They also have Instagram posts, really everything you need to also help spread this word in our community of this is how you take care of our trails. This is how you leave the place better than you found it, and also to be safe during this time. Here's my contact information. If anybody needs anything, just let me know. I'm here.
Great job, Caitlin. Thanks a bunch. really cute video. I love when people take a situation like this and make it funny, because what else is there really at this point? So we have another question from Paul here about, and I can answer it, it's fine, about the expected loss in tourism sales tax for 2020, and then what programs and departments would be most affected by the loss of tourism dollars. So Paul, that's a great question. At the beginning, we saw our RSE and tourism promotion funds down quite a bit. So that was one fund within the city of Montrose that had decreases of even upwards of 40%, because many hotels were not operating. Restaurants were either closed or operating at a very, very limited capacity. And so the great news about that, again, the city of Montrose is very fiscally responsible. We have a lot of healthy reserves in all of our funds. And so, yes, there could be limitations to the Office of Business and Tourism based on decreased funds in that area, but we do have reserves that will allow us to operate at our normal capacity for now. But the Office of Business and Tourism, just like every department within the city, has looked to limit seasonal employment. We're not hiring seasonals at least for 2020, and we've been making other cuts. No travel has occurred for any of our staff, and so that's of course allowing us to save money and put those dollars toward other things like promoting the campaign that Caitlin and her team came up with. So yeah, really great information. I know that we are here at 9:02, so we're near the end. I just want to make sure we don't have any questions hanging out there in the chat. Yeah, okay. And then one thing I just wanted to let everybody know while we have a captive audience is that the city of Montrose is deep in the throes of planning a virtual 4th of July celebration. So 4th of July history in the making, something like that, where there'll be sort of a daily activity from Monday until Saturday where the community can engage and feel like they're doing things with one another. We're working on hopefully some funny little videos like the ones we just saw to keep it light, because we know that people are pretty disappointed about the way things are going this summer with events and that kind of thing. So we'll be releasing that information really soon, and we're excited to look at it differently, just like Mary talked about at the beginning of the call. Just adapt and try not to give people the sense that we can't have fun, because we certainly can. There's opportunity in the fact that maybe there isn't a festival a certain weekend. We can look at going to camp in the mountains or, that kind of thing. And so it's just those good things to keep in mind. You can always go to visit montrose.com for more information about how to get out and enjoy the community. And sorry, I do need to clarify on seasonal employees. We are hiring a few, and you'll see that on our website. We have a few postings, but it's a much lower rate. For instance, at the visitor center, we're not hiring the normal seasonal employee that we hire and things like that. So speaking of which, we're hiring. So tell everybody you know. And with that, I just thank everybody for being here this morning. The recording will be sent out along with the call notes so that you can check it out for yourself or pass it on to your friends. Thanks to our panelists. You all did an awesome job. Thanks for being here. It was a great update, and we'll look to see everybody soon.
Yeah, I hope I didn't talk too much.
There you go, monopolizing everything.
I know.
Yeah, so we just kept your video on mute so you would, yeah.
Thank you. You guys do a great job.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a great Wednesday.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Everyone, thanks.
Bye.